And we're on episode 21 of the Preferred Experience podcast here in beautiful Midtown, Prattville, Alabama. I'm Will Barrett, as always, joined by the Millzer and our esteemed guest today that we've been trying to get on for quite a while. He keeps ducking us, but we finally pinned him down today, and he's here with us today with some really cool stories. He is the commander of the 908th Security Forces of Maxwell Air Force Base, Lieutenant Colonel Scott Graves. And Scott, welcome to the Preferred Experience.
Thank you.
He's a man of few words. You're going to have to do more words than that, Scott.
I'll try.
Scott is a master of many things. Now you've been the commander of the 908 Security Forces at Maxwell for a very short time.
Very short.
But before that, you flew C-130s, domestic and abroad, and you're currently a pilot for Southwest Airlines. Am I about hitting it all here?
That's about right. Yeah.
That leaves us so many topics to cover.
And a lucky husband with
We're gonna get into that.
kids.
We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into
probably
that.
the highlight of the life.
Probably the best thing you got going is your wife and kids.
Exactly.
Let's talk a little bit about that. Your upbringing, because you're not from around these parts.
No, I'm not. I was born in Texas. My dad's from Birmingham. And went to school in Tuscaloosa.
University of Alabama at
University
Tuscaloosa?
of Alabama.
Yeah, we refer to that as University of West Vance.
Back in the BS.
In the BS?
Before Saban.
Before, okay. The dark ages.
Yes.
The darkened times.
Yeah, that's about it. Other than that, I was living in Rome, in Italy, not Georgia.
Not Rome, Georgia, Rome, Italy.
Rome, Italy.
A little
Right.
different.
And how did you go? How did you make the move? Because you're born in Texas,
Yes.
raised in Italy.
Raised in Italy.
How did you pull that off?
My parents were missionaries with the IMB.
International Missions Board?
International Mission Board, Southern Baptist Convention.
Yes.
And I think that's about it.
Good old Southern Baptist in Italy.
Yeah. They were in seminary. They met there, and then we moved to Germany when I was 2, moved to Rome when I was 5, and came back for my senior year of high school in North Carolina.
So 5 to 18, you were in Italy.
Yes.
What was that like? How is life in Italy, Rome, different from life in America? I mean, I'm sure there's a stark contrast. What would you say was like, wow, this was a culture shock coming back and getting used to this again?
Not being able to walk everywhere. Not being able to sit down and have a meal for 3 hours.
We don't do 3-hour meals here, dude. It's
I
just
know.
like get it in quick. We got other stuff to do. It's an easier pace of life
It is.
in Italy.
Yeah.
Could be why they live a lot longer.
Yeah.
That and the wine.
That and the wine.
And the wine. That's right.
Very, yes.
That's exactly right.
So, but yeah, And big thing is we went to school 6 days a week instead of 5. 4,
6
5.
days a week.
Yeah. Monday through Saturday.
8 to 3?
8 to 1-ish. We had to have lunch.
Yeah.
So you go home
And that's
for
3
lunch,
hours.
and then you're done. Yeah.
I could do 6 days a week like that, maybe.
8 to 1, 8 to 12. I can't remember.
Just for the morning. And then you're just off for the rest of the day. I could do 6 days a week like that, no problem.
Yes.
Much better. Much better. Well, you come back from Italy to University of Alabama, and you meet this cute little majorette, right?
Yes.
Take it from there.
So, we were at, I think it was a Christmas retreat with Calvary there in Tuscaloosa. And met her there the first time. She thought I was full of myself. I don't know why. Very down to earth. I'm shy.
These Italians thinking they're all that. Did you speak to her like with an Italian accent?
No, I try to blend in.
I'm trying to
where I'm at.
I'm trying to picture a combination Texan Italian. That could be
Like-
the baddest dude you ever run into.
10-gallon hat, like
Yeah.
holding his fingers up. Hey,
Yes.
don't I mess with a Texas, huh?
A yee-haw.
A yee-haw.
There's that rabbit hole.
Yeah. Well, you were there 13 years. I'm sure you developed
Yes.
an Italian accent of
Oh,
sorts.
yes. No,
It doesn't show now.
it does not, thankful. Well,
Actually, it did show up this morning when you said espresso.
oh, yes, espresso.
Espresso.
It's not, yes.
It's beautiful.
There's no X in it, you know.
Right. Not espresso.
Or, yeah.
Contrary to modern Southern belief.
Bruschetta. You know, there's
You trying to say bruschetta?
bruschetta. Yeah. You know, that toasted bread with,
Yeah, with the tomatoes on it.
with the tomatoes.
Maters, man. Come on.
They got the tomatoes on it and that little vinegar sauce on it. It's good.
Oh, man. But, yeah, so we met, and we were friends for a whole year, trying to go back and forth. I like you, I don't like you. You like me, I don't like you, whatever.
The typical
You know.
the typical cat and mouse game.
First year in college, or second year. Yeah, it was second year. And then we dated for 2, engaged for 1, and coming up on 18 years.
And now Scott and Christy
And-
Graves for 18 years.
And our marriage counselor, we went through it, right? And we did the whole questions and stuff like that. And he's like, if I didn't know both of y'all, I would tell y'all to go pray about it and think some more. 18 years later, we're still together.
It takes guts for a marriage counselor to tell you that.
Yeah.
You know, maybe this isn't right, guys. I mean, but I know you, so it probably is. But you're gonna have some issues.
Yeah,
And what good marriage does not have its share of issues, right?
exactly.
I mean, everybody at this table has outkicked their coverage in a mighty way.
Yes.
From the Millzer to me to you. We're all better because of our wives. But if it wasn't for them, there wouldn't be near the drama we have. But the drama is what makes it kind of fun.
Yeah. Day
know?
in, day out.
You know? So yeah, hats off to the wives. Christy Graves is a wonderful lady. We tried to have her here today, but she declined, and she sent you alone.
Sent me alone. She's brave. She told me not to say any bad jokes.
Well, and that's kind of our thing, though, right? I mean, bad jokes is what, like we said before, none of this is really funny. It's just easily amused. So you met and married the beautiful Christy Graves, and now the family starts, and you went straight into military after
Yes.
school, right?
We she graduated in the winter, or I graduated in the spring. We got married 2 weeks after. 2 weeks after that, I left her for about a month for some training.
For training.
Sorry.
For training. He left to go to train.
training.
He didn't leave
Yes.
her. Okay.
It wasn't too bad though. I mean, I only came down to Maxwell, so it wasn't bad. But that was a month, and then we got back, and then we head on to Columbus, Mississippi in December.
That's Fort Benning, right?
Columbus, Mississippi. That's
Columbus, Mississippi,
Columbus
not Georgia.
Air Force Base.
Columbus.
Yeah.
You see what I know? I'm gonna flex my military knowledge
Hey.
on you here. So C-130s, that's your specialty.
That was the last plane. Yep.
What was your first plane?
Was the RC-135 up in Omaha.
The RC-135.
Yes.
And what is that? Is that like the refueler?
No.
the casing.
It's the same type of plane. It's
They're
the same
huge.
platform. It's just that do I say this or not?
I don't know, man. Is this a secret? Is this
No, it's not.
It's like, just give me the high sign. Just give me the high sign. I can mark where I need to go.
Oh
back and
no.
edit.
I just yeah, it's a recce platform. So we took gas. We didn't give gas.
You took gas.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was a recce platform, a reconnaissance, and that was in Omaha, and then from there we went down to Texas.
A recon plane, like AWACS?
So yes and no. The AWACS is more of a air battle management. Basically, it's air traffic control in the air.
I saw one of those in Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
That
Which one?
Exactly.
Oh yeah, the E2.
Yeah.
The little small one, the Navy one.
Really cool.
Yeah. So it looks like it's going backwards.
Yeah.
When you pass it, because it's going so slow. But so no, we were actually a communications intelligence gathering platform. So
Spy plane.
Sure, you can call it that.
I prefer to call it spy plane.
It's spy plane, reconnaissance, and basically we had a crew of about 20-ish, and we had a linguist in the back and
a linguist. Wow, because you're having to intercept all sorts of different
communication
chatter.
Yes,
right.
So yeah,
so you're not picking this up over Omaha.
No, well, that's where we train. That's where you're stationed. And then,
the training happens in Omaha, but you didn't stay in Omaha very long.
No, like everybody, made a couple of tours down in the Middle East, and
that's where it gets really amazing. Like you've got a young married couple, just newlyweds, starting out the life together. How many years was it before you actually were overseas?
About a year and a half.
Wow. So 18 months.
Ish.
18 months, wedded bliss.
Or 2 years.
Because this about what year is this that this is all?
The first trip was November 2007.
2007. So pretty much the operations going on in the desert at this time in Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, Kuwait. It's all Air Force, right? For the most, a lot of Air Force. So if you're a pilot,
yeah, you've been there.
You've been there. You've been there, and that's got to be a super challenge on a family unit. What was it like? What was it like having to deal with that the first time?
So the first time was interesting. I mean, we didn't have kids until 5 years of marriage, close to 6. So the first 3.5 years when we were in Omaha, it was just us two. And back then, the tempo was a lot bigger. Was a lot. There's a lot more. So with our plane, we were going 2 months on, 2 months off, 2 months on, 2 months off. And so I did a couple of those, and then I had one break, so I was home for 4 months instead of 2. And Christy was like, at month 2.5, she was like, "Aren't you leaving yet?
When are you going back?
Why are you still here?" I'm like, "I don't know, because I love you.
Because I love you. Yeah, exactly. Is that okay?
I love you.
It'd be better if you were there." That. I can hear her saying something like that, and then immediately regretting it when you go.
Yes, exactly. So that was about it. It was did 3 there, then 1 to Japan.
Japan. See, I didn't know we were even in a war with Japan until, we stopped that in the 40s, right?
We did.
But would y'all try to go over there and start it back up again?
No. We, because it was a reconnaissance platform. We were also, and I didn't know this. I learned this once I was in, that the Taliban was also down over on that side. They also have stuff over there.
In Japan?
Not in Japan,
but in the East.
Yeah.
Far East.
Yeah.
Wow. Asian Taliban.
I don't know. Something like that.
That is wild. It kind of gives you a sense of the network of these terrorists, of these horrible people that we're trying to stop. It's not just in Afghanistan. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
That's why we have to have this global peacekeeping group, right? I mean, people struggle with the fact that, other countries don't have Air Force bases in other countries. Why do we have it? Well, do you like to walk to the mailbox and feel safe? You can thank the U.S. Air Force for that. We're everywhere. A global force for good, or is that the Navy?
The Navy? I think
that might be the Navy.
Yeah, that's the Navy. They're everywhere too.
But we have to.
We gotta have everybody.
We have to be. Otherwise the world descends into chaos.
Mm-hmm.
But so, and I guess I don't know if this is even okay, but you told us some pretty wild stories of things that you've experienced. particularly one that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up in Kuwait. I don't even know if you can talk about that.
Oh no, that one,
You scared me talking about that.
I think that was an interesting one. But the flight right before that one was actually even more interesting. So, Murphy's Law, right? Murphy's Law is going to always happen. Mm-hmm. So there I am, and there's a pilot talk. So anything there I was.
Yeah. Murphy's Law is anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
So I had just upgraded to the left seat in the 135.
Which is?
To the pilot in command. Sorry.
Okay.
So you have your co-pilots in the right seat, and then the pilot in command is in the left seat. Or if you're on the airline side, it's the first officer and captain.
So to put it in the roadway terms, you're no longer riding a shotgun, you're driving.
I'm in charge of the 20 people in the back and the plane and getting it there safely and back and all that. Okay,
so you're daddy now.
Yeah, so I'm supposed to have my big boy pants on and be in charge of these people and, But, so did the upgrade in Omaha, and then we're supposed to go to Texas, Del Rio, and I asked to go on one last trip before I left because I was like, hey, I did all this work. I want to at least have one trip being in command. And so I was able to do that. The first flight, being the guy in command anytime, because when you're in training, you're not really in command. You still got the instructor. Mm-hmm. So my first flight as the PIC, the pilot in command, was downrange. It's like, here you go, welcome. It was the first flight. Our usual flights were 12 and a half hours. We would take off, go get some gas, go orbit, and then come back. And so we take off. It's all fine. We go take our gas. It takes about 30 minutes to take the gas. It's about 85,000 pounds of fuel, depending on time of the year.
It's a lot of gas.
It's a lot of gas. So we took it, and right as we got our disconnect from the tanker, the nav starts getting soaked in JP8. We're like, what? Oh, man.
What is JP8?
It's jet fuel.
Not good.
So, yeah. Because where you put the boom is right above basically where the nav sits, and so you got the manifold, and then it goes into the tanks. But so we take the gas, and then we did our disconnect, and right as we're about to get into Afghan airspace, the nav is soaked in JP8, and there's fuel on the floor and everything, and we're like, oh man, so
not good.
Nobody's
smoking right now.
No, exactly. So we just get into the airspace and make a U-turn and fly. I think it was like 2.5 hours back to Southwest Asia, where they just had the World Cup. But we're not there.
Right? No. No. Don't even know how to say that country's name.
So that was 2.5 hours, 3 hours back on oxygen mask, not using electrical trim because you don't want to do that.
No sparks.
No sparks, no nothing. So it was actually flying a plane, being a pilot. It was fun. It was neat, but it was first flight ever, and I'm like, this happens.
That's nuts, dude.
And so then we land. It's all safe. We get back, and the flight doc, comes on board, or we get off the plane, and he meets us there, and they're like, "Hey, is everybody okay?" We're like, "Yeah, we're good." And there's always one guy, right? There's always one guy. And he's like, well, Doc, I got this rash on my hands, but it's not from the JP8.
It's like, I'm not the doc for that.
Yeah. But so that was a fun first flight. And then the very next flight is the one you're referring to, and we do the mission. We knew that once we got back, there's going to be some fog and stuff like that, so we knew that we were going to have to hold just a little. And so we get back, we have to hold, and we get to our bingo fuel, which is the fuel that you got to leave and go where you're going to land because otherwise
You're going to crash.
you're going to run out of fuel.
Yeah.
And so we hold there, and the closer field that we would go to was socked into with fog and all that. So we couldn't go there. We couldn't land in Bahrain, which was really close. And so we had to go all the way up to Kuwait.
And remember that you have sensitive information on deck at this point.
Yeah, it's
You're a reconnaissance outfit.
Reconnaissance.
So you've got very privileged classified information that nobody can have.
No, and I don't even know. I closed the door. I don't want to know.
And you've been told expressly, you either bring this plane home or you crash it.
In some countries, yes.
Okay.
But here, no. Here, it's okay. But so the only base that we were going to go to up in Kuwait, the runway was not wide enough for our wingspan. So we had to go to Kuwait International, just a regular airport, which is fine because all the other American planes were going there, and NATO and all that. But, this was the first time that our plane had actually landed there. And this is only my second flight of being in command.
You're not having smooth running as a
No,
commander so far.
I know, exactly. I'm like, do you really want to fly with me?
It gets interesting when you fly with
It's
Commander
interesting.
Graves.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's all good. And I won't forget my co-pilot. He's a great guy. He's still in. He starts looking. He's like, oh, man, this downtown's really nice. It's really cool. And I'm like, dude, look for the runway. Like, our fuel is showing red because we're at min fuel. And we need to put this on the ground and not go around because
Very quickly.
if we go around, we're probably not going to. But so we land, it's all fine. And we come in and we taxi in. And all I could think of was to get back to our base because of, stuff in the back. And I don't want to spend the night here because then, you got to do some other stuff. And so we're just waiting there, trying to figure it out. And finally, this fuel truck shows up, and I'm downstairs or out of the plane. And the guy's like, oh, you KC-10? And I'm like, yeah, we sure are. We're that plane. And there was a KC-10 right in front of us, but he obviously didn't know. I was like, yeah, that's us. And I had on my Italian flag on one of my shoulders, and he's like, oh, you Italian plane? I'm like, yep, we sure are.
Yep,
and I
Italian.
Parlo un po' in italiano se vuoi, però. And so there we are, we're going. He's like, okay, I'll start putting gas. I'm like, good, all right. And he's like, well, how much do you need? And I was like, 20,000 pounds. And he's like, liters. I'm like, I don't know, dude. I'm like, pounds to gallons to liters. Just start. I'll tell you when to stop.
I watched the needle.
I'm not sure.
When it starts coming out,
I know.
full.
I'm like, I've been up for
It's like you ever
way
seen
too long.
you ever seen a NASCAR race? When it starts popping out the pop-up valve, then you pull it out.
That's what she
Absolutely. Anyway, so you officially lied to Kuwaiti ground forces.
Of course, because I did not want to spend the next 12 hours or so there because we weren't going to be able to all go and get some rest. We're going to have to stay with the plane and all that. And it was getting hot in summertime, so ugh. But so we were able to get that and be off the ground in 3 hours and make it back to our base before we dropped dead. So you have a crew duty day of 24 hours. Mm-hmm. Well, your usual day is only 16 hours, but it can be waived and bumped up to 24 for extenuating circumstances. So we were waived to 24, which is not something that I would want to do again. But we were, and so we were able to make it all the way back in time. And it was a co-pilot's time to do the landing. We always swap who does the takeoff and landing. It's just because a co-pilot is the same as a pilot in command. It's just that he doesn't have to sign for the airplane.
Right.
He can do the same
in the right
thing.
seat.
Yes. He can do the same thing that the captain can, or she.
That's correct. That's correct. He, she, or
Yeah.
he, she.
So as we're going back to our other base, I was like, hey, why don't you, rest your eyes, take a quick nap so that you can be nice and rested for the landing. He's like, okay. And so we start going back, and there's supposed to be some more weather there, so we were going to have to hold again. But then we found out that it cleared up, so now we're too heavy.
So now you got to burn fuel.
So now we got to burn fuel or dump fuel. They wouldn't let us dump fuel. They didn't want us to dump it in the Gulf, even though that's where it came from. Might as well
Exactly.
throw it back where it was.
Like ashes to ashes, dust to dust,
So
gas to gas.
I turn around and I look at the nav. I was like, "Watch this," not hold my beer because we're flying. You don't want
Right. You don't want to be
that,
drinking.
But he's like, "Watch this," and so there we are. I slow it to where at the right speed, we're at the right altitude, and I just throw the gear down. And it's loud, and abrupt, and I never seen the guy jump so high in my life like that. He's like, "What?" I'm like, "It's okay.
It's just
I'm
wheels.
sorry.
It's just wheels, bro. It's fine."
I'm sorry." But,
So,
yeah.
so you're comfortable enough out there just to just play jokes on people in mid-flight. Like, I would be freaking out. Like, I'd be the co-pilot. I'd lose my junk. And this is a professional pilot. I mean, I imagine like the linguist in the back is losing it at that point.
Probably, because they really can't see anything. They don't have windows.
They just have loud sounds outside their hull.
So talk about the linguist. This is funny for us. Again, we'd like to play around. You're with the same crew for a while. Mm-hmm. But the linguists are young. They're like 18-year-olds. Some of them. They're like right out of basic and stuff. So, they're 18, 20 at most. And some of them are on their first flight in their whole life. And so they would come up. So we would have them come up when we went up to take gas, because it's pretty neat to see, another plane 12 feet in front of you that puts a boom on top of your plane. Mm-hmm. And now you're passing gas.
You're delivering
the
mechanism.
Gas,
I thought Chrissy told you about this.
Yes, I'm sorry. And you would be like, "Hey, what do you want to drink? Do you want a Coke, or you want a Dr. Pepper or Sprite?" And they're like, "Oh, I'll take a Coke." And so, we'd go on the radio and tell the tanker, "Hey, can you drop down a Coke?" And they're like, "Okay, yeah, sure, here it comes." And, you make a little boom or something. And because the manifold was right above us, we would just lift up our hands and get something from underneath. There's like a kind of insulation. So we put Coke in top of the insulation, brought it down, and handed it to them. And some of the kids were just like,
"That's amazing.
Did that just come?"
Yeah.
It just came from the other plane. You asked for it.
They carry all the good stuff.
Yeah.
It's part of their payment for us fueling them.
Yes.
I get it.
Yeah. So
That is hilarious.
I don't know. It's the little things.
Yeah.
So, have you ever had to fly an entire cargo plane full of rubber dog poo out of Hong Kong?
Not yet.
Or is that just a Navy thing?
That's just a Navy thing, I
Probably
think.
just the Navy thing.
But speaking of which, bad joke. But anyway, you see in the movies about the old Air Force versus Navy pilot, rivalry. Is that real, or is it
Yes.
more exaggerated? So is it
Yeah.
worse or less than what the movies portray?
And this is just Top Gun. The first one was great. Iron Eagle.
Iron Eagle, Doug Masters.
Yeah,
It's
Yep.
terrible.
What? What? Stop.
Come on
Stop.
now.
Stop.
Terrible is such a strong word
Are
here.
you trying to tell me
Iron Eagle, what? 1, 2, 3, 4.
You trying to tell me that an 18-year-old kid cannot take down the entire Iranian Air Force?
While you only using a tape recorder?
Yep.
With a tape recorder and Chappie Sinclair?
Yeah.
I found it to be quite true to life. Anyway,
It might be.
but that's my opinion. I didn't live the life.
But the new Top Gun Maverick,
Yes.
some people are like, "Oh, there's no way." I'm like, "No, we are that stupid." Or that immature at times.
Yeah. Well, you got to have some kind of fun. I mean,
Yes.
it's the top aviators in the world.
So, and yeah, we're it's fun.
There's no was there any like I don't know, the Air Force guys play volleyball a lot and
They do pickleball, I think.
Pickleball.
they play offense, defense, football together.
I've never experienced that, but yeah,
I could see pickleball being a thing though.
yeah.
All right, so we're hitting on this your military flying experience, and it carried on for several years and several stories.
Yes.
But in the process, you and Christy, you're still married. She's still at home.
We are,
and you're thinking, okay, now it's time to start a family here, and your family start is not standard.
no.
It's a little different from the normal process, and I think it's just one of the coolest things ever. So, you mind telling us a little bit about how
Sure.
the girls came into your life?
So, it really kind of started right before we got engaged. I just taken her back to Rome for the first time to see where I grew up, and played some jokes on her there.
Of course,
Another rabbit hole, but we'll leave it for another time, I guess.
we can circle back.
We can circle back.
We can get Saki that one.
Yes. And so we come back, and we get back to the States, and she has to go in for an emergency appendix surgery. And while they're in there, the doc finds out, sees some other spots and stuff, and so we find some stuff out. But
Irregularities.
yes, and so at that point we kind of knew that we were going to go through some stuff, and she was like, and we had gone down to her parents' house because I needed to ask her dad if I could marry her, and then she goes to the hospital. I'm like, take going. So
Always wanting the spotlight.
I know, always wanting the spotlight. So we find this out and all that, but God's got a plan. We'll figure it out, you know. But so we got married, and we knew that we were going to have to go through some treatments and the infertility stuff and all that. So we went through a bunch of it for 5 years, did all this stuff, and then in the end, you know, our doc was, I guess these doctors see it so often that to them it's just like, we'll try it again, you know, we'll do it again, we'll do, you know, whatever. It's like, no, hold up a second, you know, this is a lot of emotional toll.
It's painful, emotionally,
emotionally, physically, and financially.
Yes. It's not that
It ain't cheap.
No, not at all. And it's not like insurance is like loving to cover that.
No, exactly. So we get to the point where we've tried all the kind of stuff, and you know, they even like, well, you know, you can do an egg donor or stuff like that, and I'm like, I don't want half of me, half of somebody else, you know.
Right.
It's us too, or you know, there's, you know, God has a plan, and we'll figure it out. And there's plenty of kids that need a home, not that we're a perfect home, but that need a home, and we can hopefully provide, you know.
Yeah.
And and we were living in Omaha, and at our church, we had kind of gotten close to these 5 kids that were in the foster system. They were all siblings. And so we're like, you know what? You know, there's adoption here. We looked at fostering too, but at that time we were kind of like, well, you know, we're going to move probably every 3 years. So, but we did have that kind of pull that, hey, you know, this is something that we're called to do, we're led to do, that I think we should do. But, you know, we kept on stiff arming it. But with the adoption, you know, we were like, hey, you know, I mean, plenty of kids out there that we could love, and
Sure.
you know,
Yeah.
so we started all of that process. Christy did an amazing job of finding the right agency. We went through 4 or 5 just to talk with them and all that, and even got kicked out of one. They were like, I don't think you're ready for it. And I'm like, why? Because I'm being honest.
Yeah. I imagine there's a lot of people.
You're asking me a question, and I told you the answer. Oh, well, then you're just not ready.
No. Back it up, Potsy. And it's, if biological parents or those seeking to be biological parents had to go through everything, every process that a prospective adoptive parent has to go through, there would never be any kids to adopt.
Yeah.
Because they would be dang sure. But anyway, sorry, that's another rabbit hole. But
yes,
keep going.
But we started the process with the company that we stayed with, and we moved to Texas, to Del Rio. That was our second assignment, or our third assignment, and we moved to Laughlin Air Force Base in Del Rio, Texas. It's about 3 hours from anything. 3 hours from San Antonio and 3 hours from San Angelo.
A geographical oddity.
Yes. Down by the lake.
That's probably why, because of what's happening at Laughlin Air Force Base. Doesn't need to be close to anything.
No, you don't. Yeah, you want it to be as far away as possible. Because we're teaching kids how to fly a plane. So we moved there, and I'm about to leave for a 3-day just across country with another pilot, and our plane was broke, and so we were taking off late, so we're holding short of the runway, and I had forgotten to turn my phone off, like you're supposed to turn your phone off, right?
Not even airplane mode?
Not even in airplane mode, so I forgot to turn it off, and my phone kept on blowing up, and I was like, geez. So I just kept on silencing it. I didn't look at it, And then finally we get our clearance for takeoff, and we're about to get onto the runway, and then Tower calls and says, hey, your takeoff clearance is canceled. Go back to Chalks and go into the squadron. And we're like, well, what did we do wrong? Oops.
It's my phone, right?
I'm
sorry about the phone.
I'll turn it off the next time.
Yeah, how the stewardess will play that joke on the airline and goes like, all right, there's 3 people with their phones still on. Like they got something to actually monitor how many phones. You're sitting there going, do they really have that?
I fell for that once. I really did. I was like, oh, crap. She called me. You in 17C, I know you have it on. Oh. You're right, actually.
Right.
We all have it on still. So
we go back, we pull in the Chalks and everything, and finally I pull my phone out, I look at it, and I'm like, Christy called like a gazillion times. I didn't know. But, I needed to go back to the squadron. So I walk in the squadron, and my boss like, hey, Graves, you need to call your wife. And, oh, by the way, we had just gotten there. So I had only been there barely a month. So now I have my commander like,
she's calling everybody.
yes. And I'm like, what in the world?
So basically the entire military just shut down because your wife was trying to call you on the phone.
She got you grounded.
She got me grounded. And so
Clipping those wings.
I call her. I'm like, hey, Chrissy, you okay? She's like, well, yeah, but do you want to be a dad? I was like, well, yeah. Okay, well, they're going to fly your daughter in on Sunday, and this is Friday.
What?
I'm like, huh? Come again? And she was like, yeah, Melissa, our caseworker, she called, and she said that they had this baby girl, and they needed an answer by 3, but you were supposed to be flying and supposed to be somewhere up near Denver, and I didn't know, and I just said yes, and I was like, okay.
That's always how it happens.
That's fine.
You wait and wait and wait and wait, and then bam, you got to go right now.
Yeah. And so I was like, all right. She said, so I just told her yes. And they're flying her in on Sunday. I was like, okay.
Just so you know.
All right.
You're dad.
So, I can fly up to Dallas and just pick her up. She's like, no, they're flying her here. I was like, okay.
Okay.
All right. So...
she was already out for delivery.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, expect your package by Sunday.
Yep. So
that's amazing.
So on Sunday afternoon, I think it was around 4:00, Colgan Air flew into Del Rio, and Elena, 6 weeks old.
Wow.
The caseworker brought her in, and she was like, "Here you go." And we're like, "Okay, so
Bye.
I mean, we have an extra room for you to stay here." She's like, "Oh no, I've already got a hotel room. She's your kid now."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Do you not want to like
Sign here.
check or anything?" "Oh no, you're good." I'm like, all right, I guess we're parents.
Yeah.
It really is an Amazon delivery.
Typically, yeah, truly an Amazon delivery.
So
Elena,
yeah.
so Elena Graves
So Elena Graves
comes to join the family.
at 6 weeks old,
6
and now
weeks.
she's 12.
12 years old, and
tonight she's going on her first dance.
wow.
Oh.
So you got a little,
So we know we hear air recon flying over. We know what's
Yeah,
we know what's going on.
that's Lieutenant Colonel Graves just checking out the
Just
scene.
checking out.
Everything's fine.
We're good,
Everybody
we're
proceed. Maybe you could just fly one of those low level spy balloons over.
Yeah.
You know, we've gotten used to those here lately.
I know. I got some helium.
Yeah. So Elena came first, and then Hazel,
Then Hazel
came not
6
far
weeks,
behind.
Oh, not 6 weeks. Sorry, 6 years
Yeah.
later on. It just so happened to be 6 years. Yeah. So with Hazel too, I had my good deal in the Air Force. I was able to spend a month in Pisa with the Italians there.
That's where they got that leaning tower, right?
It leans a little bit. You know, it's still there.
Yeah.
But it hasn't fallen yet. They figured out how to balance it out. But right before we left to go there for a month, our caseworker calls again and is like, "Hey, this birth mom, it's a long story, but she had her baby premature, you know, and can we show her your book?" And we're like, "Sure, why not?" You know, and so we're like, "Well, do we need to leave? Do we need to stay here in the States? I mean, we can cancel the orders and stay here." "Oh, no, just go. It's fine." Okay. And so then we come back, and Hazel is 6 weeks old by that time. And so we make our first trip from Tucson back to Fort Worth and meet Hazel for the first time. She's in the NICU. Yeah. And she was in the NICU for like 10 weeks.
Wow,
she
because of prematurity.
10 weeks. And so the first time it was just me and Christy. And we went into the NICU and just held her, and it was awesome. And then the second time we brought Elena down, and she was all excited and everything. And Elena by that time she was about to turn, she was
Had to be about 6, right?
about to turn 6. Yeah, September. So 9/11 is her birthday. So it's
No biggie.
no biggie. So she was 5, about to be 6.
Get pumped up on 9/11.
Yeah, I know. It's an awesome day for me.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, that's another rabbit hole. But
We're gonna hit that too, so don't
Yeah.
lose that.
So she was about to turn 6, but when we had just moved from Del Rio, we had gone to Little Rock for some training, and then we were moving out to Tucson, and she's still in the NICU. Chrissy went behind the glass to get her, and but she couldn't go because she's a kid, so they won't let her go into the hospital, in that part of the hospital. And so we had this watch behind the glass, but I had her, and she was all excited and everything, and she saw her, she touched the glass, smiled. And then as we're walking away, I see her, she's kind of pouting. And I'm like, "Elena, what's wrong?" "Well, she's not as brown as I am, and her hair's not as curly as mine." And I'm like, oh, bless your heart.
Give it time.
I'm like, "Sweetie, she is 8 weeks old. It's July. You've been in the sun for 2 months. You've got your nice copper tone.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a newborn. She doesn't have any hair yet." "Oh, so she's going to be as brown as me and as curly hair?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then she started smiling, and
Well, then I'm good.
yeah, and she was fine. And I was like, if life was that simple,
Yeah.
you know,
yeah.
we would all be in a better place.
If we could all just take an answer and go, oh, okay, well, it's
Yeah.
fine. I get it now.
Yeah.
Instead of questioning every single thing.
So Hazel was in the NICU for about 10 weeks, and then we were able to take her home to Tucson,
Awesome.
Arizona.
Awesome. So family of four.
Family of four.
Family of four. And the adoption stories always, they never get old to me because when you can, I can attest to this, I know you can too. When you adopt a child, there's no difference in how you feel about that child versus if it was given to you biologically. I mean, it's really amazing. If God puts it on your heart to adopt and you go through with it, there's no difference in the connection and love you feel for that child versus the connection you would feel for a child that came to you biologically. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that way, but it is. Mm-hmm. And it can't explain anything other than the supernatural love of God that just radiates off of you into those kids and back the other way. So I love your adoption story. I love it. I love it. So now this family of four, and now you're starting to think about life after the military, because it's coming. And so, but you have this one skill that very few people actually have. You can fly an airplane. And so you join the commercial airline industry.
I do.
With Southwest Air.
Southwest Airlines.
Southwest Airlines. Caveat this, Scott Graves is a pilot with Southwest Airlines. And he had nothing to do with what happened in December. Nothing.
I was on the road with y'all.
You were stranded with everybody else.
And yes.
So Southwest Air, you go from flying recon to flying commercial air. And that's a big step. I imagine,
it's different.
The controls are pretty much the same, but the whole cargo is a little different.
Yes.
And especially in this day and age where people have just lost their minds.
And you can't play jokes on them like you could in the military. Or can you?
Yeah.
Oh, never.
No.
Is that one of those no talk about?
No, you sure can't. No.
Well, it's Southwest, so we can, you can get away with a lot. With carnival seating, you can get away with a lot. Yeah. Festival seating, not carnival seating. Festival seating. My bad.
No.
Sometimes it's like a carnival in there.
It is.
I will say this.
That's what I like. I mean, it's, we're not, or at least I'm not, and most of the people know that work there, we're not uptight.
The flight attendants on Southwest are by far the best flight attendants in the air today, because they cut up and have fun.
Yeah.
Those stuffy Delta flight attendants, but I'm not going to talk bad about Delta, but I might talk bad about United. I don't like them, but Southwest, even though they were slightly discourteous to us in December, Southwest is still the best airline out there to me. And I've never had the privilege of flying on a Southwest plane piloted by Scott Graves.
I know, not yet.
I'm looking forward to it one day.
Definitely.
Some of the stuff people are doing in the air now are just crazy. I was reading the story that happened on a Delta airline, on a Delta flight not too long ago. It was just a 2-hour domestic flight, and this woman had a mental breakdown on the flight and tried to open the cabin door. And which you really can't open that in flight, can you?
No.
Unless you're like Thor, a son of Odin or something like that. They had to duct tape this lady to the seat, duct taped her. I don't know if you can actually do that, but in a pinch, you do what you got to do.
It. Yep.
She's duct taped to the seat, and her mouth is duct taped. And this is I'm seeing the video. They've landed the plane. They're on the runway, and she's just duct taped, like straight jacket duct tape. Does that happen frequently?
No.
But episodes with passengers.
Yeah, there's episodes. But a lot of the times, it's before the door closes, so you can get them off the plane beforehand.
But if it's at 38,000 feet, you got a decision to make, and ultimately it's your decision.
Yep.
Right.
Have you ever had to just get up and go to the back
no,
like the principal, finally when it gets so bad you have to call the principal in?
Turn this plane around.
Yeah. No, have not had to do that yet, which is good. And the flight attendants know they actually are trained to do that kind of stuff. It wouldn't be good for us to go back there. We're not trained to do that. We're not trained to
No.
do that.
Like-
We're gonna be less hospitable. if we
Look,
come out there.
you're like, look, I was in the military. Those instincts will kick in.
So, yeah, I mean, I've heard you talk about, just in conversation about what it takes to actually get to the plane, get in, and start going. Like, you don't start actually accruing any hours of payable hours until the plane pulls back from the runway.
Until we close the door at the gate.
Yeah, all the work you have to do to get there, pre-flight check, everything that goes to getting in there. That's just on you.
Yep.
Wow.
It's not.
Wow. Seems like a union problem to me.
It should be. Yeah, exactly. I know.
Yeah.
We are going through a new contract. We should probably put that in.
Yeah. Yeah. I need mileage. I need per diem.
Yep.
I need all this getting to the plane, because it's not like you just teleport into the seat.
Nope.
But you've been to airports all over this country, and some of these airports are kind of strange, like Denver International. People want to say Denver International is like an Illuminati headquarters, like some kind of crazy stuff. There's all this kind of satanic imagery on the walls and stuff. You've been there. Do you see that?
I'll have to watch it and look at it next time.
Look out for, like, Google, like,
Yeah.
Denver International. It's a really, really, really bizarre place with, like, bizarre architecture and bizarre murals. And
Yes. They're different architecture, yes.
but you wouldn't think that would be like Denver. Denver's kind of milquetoast. Colorado.
Well, they have legalized, so
True.
the minds could have expanded since.
Yeah. You know what I see, man? Right here on this wall, that's what we can do. Yeah. So that's that's legal in Colorado, but not on an airline.
No.
In Colorado.
Yeah.
So obviously you love to fly. It's in your blood.
Yes.
You've done it most of your professional life. Well, all of your professional
Yeah,
life.
all my professional life, yep.
But recently you decided to make a transition away from the cockpit on the military side. And that was probably a hard decision for you.
Yes and no. The last deployment last year kind of helped me just be like, all right, I'm good. I've checked all the boxes that I wanted. And yeah.
So this was strange because most you made the transition to become the commander of the 908 security forces at Maxwell. That's the first time they've hired what they would call, quote, a flyboy for this role.
Sure was.
It's not normally this is a role a law officer takes, like a police officer takes, but this time they went a different direction. They wanted because they didn't need exactly a cop in that role, they needed a leader in that role, and they chose you. And you chose and talk about why you decided to make that transition.
It is family, and it's really what's made mine and Christy's decisions in the past. It was all about our family, the 908, the 357th, it got remissioned from 130s to helicopters. So there's a new helicopter that the Air Force bought, and Maxwell's going to be the schoolhouse for it.
So the C-130s are history, and we're making way for these new
helicopters.
These new crazy helicopters.
Yes.
What's so special about these helicopters?
They're just new. They're just going to take the place
Stealth?
of the no. They're just going to take the place of the Huey.
Do they look like
Air Force?
Do they look like Airwolf?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I'm in.
And they're called Gray Wolf.
Yes. Yes. Oh baby.
Yep.
Oh baby.
So yes.
I am for this.
The greatest 2-season show of all time.
Airwolf.
Was there only 2
It
seasons?
was only 2 seasons.
Oh wow.
Feels like there was way
It felt
more.
like it was more. Yeah, a whole lot more.
Love some Airwolf.
So it it kind of looks like it, but it's a little bit bigger. But yeah, so they're getting that, and I was just.
So you could have taken.
I could have made the transition to the helicopter, but.
But you watched Firebirds and you're like, no way, I'm doing that again.
Nuh-uh.
So it was just going to be a lot bigger toll on the family, and so I'm like, yeah, thank you, but no, thank you, and so I could have looked around for another base for another plane, but we were just done being separated for more than a month at a time.
Yeah,
and even if I had gone to a different base, even if it was still with the 30s, now I'm commuting to both jobs. And the one thing that I was told getting out of the active side was you only commute to one job. So you only commute to your reserve job or guard or your airline job. You don't commute to both because now you're never home, right? And we got hired here at Maxwell before we got hired at the airline. So that's kind of how we landed here in Prattville, which was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Blessing beyond means. And so it was either that and try and find a different base, and now I'm having to commute to that place too, or move, which we're not moving, or find another plane. But now, then again, I had to go and train in that plane. So now I'm going to leave the family for 4 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, however long it took. And we're just...
Not willing to do that again.
We're just, done. And anybody will tell you, and if they don't, they're probably not telling the truth, but leaving the active military, coming to the reserve, or just leaving it completely, there's always going to be that void of the camaraderie.
Right.
It's just different. I don't know how to explain it. But that being said, moving here to Prattville, you always hear about the camaraderie is going to be, you're not going to be able, it's just different. And you won't be able to find what you had on the active side. And, well, you know what? That's not true. Because I can talk for Christy and I can't talk for anybody else, but for Christy and I, we got here to Prattville, and, I found that camaraderie. So, with our civilian friends.
Right. Civilians ought to party too,
I know, exactly. But it's I see it is hard to make that transition and to feel the camaraderie, but I thank God that we found the group of friends where that camaraderie is there. So.
Absolutely. There's a whole lot to be said about that. And now with you taking over as the commander of the 908 Security Forces at Maxwell, you'll be able to retire there, right?
Yes. That's the plan.
That's the plan. But taking over as like what I call the top cop is a steep learning curve there. I'm sure from what you've been doing to what you're doing now. I watch all the Police Academy movies, and every time I see Commandant Lassard, I think about you now. It's like, I wonder if he's having to deal with a Bobcat Goldthwait type character, Mahoney.
Well, I come from a law enforcement family, so
yes, correct.
When he says something like that, I see Alfred Wadsworth.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And Barney Fife,
a Pfeiffer. One bullet in the pocket, just in case. Well, man, it's been pretty awesome having this conversation. We've been trying to get you into the preferred experience for several weeks now. We keep missing each other.
I know,
but glad we got to connect today.
Yeah.
There's a couple more things I wanted to ask you too.
Yeah, I got a couple. I got a specifically security questions when it comes to the president coming in. Because I heard this story from a friend of mine who owns a bunch of property. His family owns a bunch of property along I-65 on the flight, the plane right there. And his dad used to live on a trailer right down by the river. And I think it was Clinton was coming into Maxwell on that line. that day, and he didn't care nothing about it. Didn't, it was just another day. His dad was just another day. And gets a knock on the door, and opens up. It's Secret Service agents.
Hello.
And there he was like, the president's going to be flying over here and everything, and we're just going to tell you that we have several people on four-wheelers stationed throughout the field out here, and you need to stay inside. And just left. Lifted that. Does that sound like something that would along those lines? Is that the kind of security that they would actually station people out in the fields right there on the landing path? That was that because
he can't tell you.
He can't tell me, but
I mean, it sounds reasonable.
Yeah. But just to monitor the field.
Sure.
I thought that was interesting that then Secret Service randomly knocked on his door, and then because the president's flying over. And he says literally 10 seconds. And that was it.
All right, he's gone.
He's gone.
He gone.
He gone.
So as a Southwest pilot,
yes.
you're at 38,000 feet quite a bit. And every one of those guys up there will tell you every once in a while they see things they can't explain. You ever see anything like you're like, wow, I don't know what that is, but if I tell anybody about it, they're going to think I'm crazy.
Would you like to report a UFO?
Unidentified flying object.
Come on, man. You can tell us about it right here.
I had one just yesterday.
Unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Oh, phenomenon. I don't know. I had one 2 days ago going into Chicago.
For real?
Well, air traffic control was like, hey, you're not cleared down below 7,000 feet yet. There's something on the scope at 2:00. We don't know the altitude. We don't know what it is. Like, okay. I look over there. I'm like, yeah, I see it.
What was it?
It was a little plane. But it's unidentified to air traffic control.
So
up until you identified it.
Yep.
It was a UFO.
It was a UFO.
Okay, so now that you're out of the military or the full-time part of it, you ever race the planes like with another guy, another pilot? Y'all get up there and race? Like, I'm going to beat you to this airport. Did y'all ever do anything like that?
That's how the Titanic sank.
Yeah. Nah. Yeah. We don't have I didn't have the fast planes. I don't know.
Well, I thought that'd be even more fun.
Racing the
slow moving
Airbus
130s.
You're like, let's go home, guys. Never mind.
What is top speed on a C-130?
We would usually cruise at 250.
250 knots or 250 miles per hour?
Knots indicated it.
So 250 knots is 1.15 statute miles, something like that. So it's like 270, 280 miles an hour.
A little bit more.
I took airport design class.
And then you see like the
school,
ground
Scott.
speed, right?
Yeah.
You have the ground speed based on the wind. So if you have a tailwind, your ground speed is going to be a whole lot faster than 250. But
I couldn't get into those calculations.
Yeah, me either. There's an app for that.
There is an app. I'm sure there is a real simple app that some kid came up with.
Yep.
But I will admit now, because hopefully the statute of limitations is over, and now that I know y'all were at 300 feet, you informed me that when out there in Booth, where we used to be in the flight path of the C-130s, and you informed me it was the low altitude. Mm-hmm. I wondered why they would just scrape in the trees coming right over the top of our house all the time. Back when I was a kid, I shot at them with a Red Ryder BB gun, but knowing that they were 300 feet, I doubt it even came close.
Yeah. Now, if it was one of those pump action, you pump
that might have been a different story.
You might get.
But back in those days, before I got the sense enough not to do that, I don't think the Red Ryder would have made it.
Nah, probably not. Not especially since you can see the arc of the BB as you shoot it. Well, so Scott, you've done the military thing, you've done the commercial pilot thing, you've done the adoption thing, and now you are doing the foster thing too.
Yes, we did.
You just enjoy a challenge. Is that what this is?
I guess so.
You can't stop.
We can't stop. No, that was more of like I talked about in Omaha. We grew close to these foster kids.
Yeah,
and we just felt like it was something that we were supposed to do. And we kind of stiffed arm it, like, oh yeah, no, we're, hey God, we move every 3 years. It's not, and then so, we're here now. We bought a house. We're not moving, and so here comes the tug again, and I was like, all right, yes sir, yes God, here we come. Yeah. So we found the company that we really liked, and was kind of part of my extended side of the family, and we went through the classes. 10 weeks classes.
10 weeks, and then they plop a foster kid down in your
lap. 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later, they're like, hey, we have a 15-month-old kiddo that needs a home. We're like, oh, we know what a 15-month. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Easy peasy.
They're all the same, right?
Yeah. Whatever. And we get to knock on the door and open up the door, and there he is. And we're like, that's not a 15-month
No.
That's a big boy.
Yeah. Cute kid though. I mean, but every foster kid comes with their own, with their set of baggage, and every foster kid comes with their story, and everyone's different, and they just need somebody to love them, and you feel that gap for them. I think one of the hardest things about being a foster parent is knowing that at any point they're gonna be taken from you and go back to their original home, or to a next of kin or something like that, and you have to prepare yourself for that mentally, but you never really get prepared for that.
No.
So, man, I just hats off to you guys. It's such an awesome thing that you do with this, with the fostering. Wish more people were able to open their homes like that, but hey, the fact that you guys do it's not easy.
It's not easy. It's not for everybody. But there's a need.
Well, for sure.
Right.
And you got a mama bear at home that wants to take them all.
Yes.
So it's just awesome. You guys have such a powerful testimony, such a great story, and there's so many more things we could talk about.
Oh yeah.
But keep you here all day.
Heck yeah.
But I think it's probably about time that we transition into the Poetic Justice segment of the podcast, of episode 21. And since it's still February, Chip Powell, who primarily puts these in the can for us, these Poetic Justice moments, he's still, chasing that elusive white-tailed deer. Which, to be honest, how elusive is it really? There's 3 on the side of the road every single day. That's an elusive creature right there.
Yeah, my dad hunted them every day, and he still called them hopped up goats.
I just don't see the challenge. I mean, just hang out by the side of the road; they're gonna pop up.
Well, like, just quick for instance, this morning, a neighbor of mine drove by the house on his way to work early, like at 4:30. He sends me a text. He goes, "Hey, there's three does laying beside your house inside the flower bed, just chilling."
Then you can shoot him for trespassing. Yeah, I think
exactly. Oh my God, he's coming right for me.
It's right. I had no choice. It was him or me.
So and it was right underneath John Carter's bedroom window. So I, on the way driving into school this morning, I told John Carter. John Carter's my 7-year-old. I told him, "Hey, there was some deer sleeping under your window." He goes, "Really?" I go, "Yeah, there was." He goes, "I am the king of the jungle."
Yeah, because all those deer hanging out in the jungle
in Booth, Alabama.
We got it twisted on a lot of things with the king of the jungle.
Yeah,
like the whole thing about the lion being the king of the jungle. The lion don't live in the jungle.
No,
the lion lives in the Sahara, in the desert in Africa. Anyway, we got that's another rabbit hole that just bugs me.
Hey.
Bugs the crap out of me.
We'll do a grind our gears episode one day.
We need to grind our gears episode. What's eating the preferred experience? We'll call it that. All right, well, let's go ahead and launch into this classic Poetic Justice moment.
Welcome again to Poetic Justice with Lewis Mills and Chip Powell. Lewis, good having you back in studio again. How you been doing?
Thank you. It's good to be here.
All right. Well, look, we're going to go ahead and we're going to turn the tables a little bit here. Every time we kind of try to bring something new and exciting to our audience here, worldwide. It ain't just statewide anymore, Lewis. It's going international. Listen, I understand this is one of you've picked this out. I don't know the artist. I don't know what it is, but it's one of your favorite poems. And I'm going to let you recite.
I got it.
You got this recited. I'm going to try to guess the name of the poem and the artist. So, all right, I'm going to put my thinking cap on. You go ahead with the poem, and I'll be thinking.
All right. I got bodyguards. I got 2 big cars that definitely ain't the whack. I got a Lincoln Continental and a sunroof Cadillac. So after school, I take a dip in the pool, which really is the wall. I got a color TV so I can see the Knicks play basketball. Hear me talking about checkbooks, credit cards, more money than a sucker could ever spend. But I wouldn't give a sucker or a bum from the rucker not a dime till I've made it again.
Wow. First of all, it took me a couple lines, but it came to me right after the Cadillac. I mean, that was the key in the whole poem. And I believe it's actually 3 poets on this thing. And rarely do we, have a poem that involves 3 guys, and Michael Anthony Wright, Guy Anthony O'Brien, and I believe Henry Lee Jackson. Of course, you and I know who that is, really.
Well, that's why it's so long, though.
Yeah, that too. But we'll have to tell you who the normal people, like Millzer and Will, they'll know the names. They're better known as Wonder Mike, Master G, and Big Bank Hank.
Right.
We all remember Big Bank Hank. He passed away, by the way, and we want condolences out to his family. I think it was 7 or 8, 9 years ago, but they were a part of a group called Sugar Hill Gang. 1979, this poem was called Rapper's Delight. It actually became a song, and it was the first hip-hop act to have a hit in the pop charts. Way back in 1979, what a great honor, but those 3 guys are just, they'll go down in history as really the first guys to put a poem together, turn it into a hit, and it actually is number 251 on the Rolling Stones magazine list of the 500 greatest songs of all time. Shakespeare didn't do it. Edgar Allan Poe, Emily Dickinson. None of those are our favorite. So we've got to put this. I understand how this is one of your favorites.
It is. It's great people, and it's back in our era. It's our senior year.
That's true. That's great. True. We got to. I used to know the whole thing.
Right.
But let's take the part, break it down real quick, the part that we actually, what I got out of it. I believe this may be Big Bank Hank's part, and I may be wrong. Could be Wonder Mike. Now, Master G, he was the lover guy. He was always talking about women. Big Bank Hank, the guy went out there and he made it happen. He did the rapping. He got the money. He got the cars, the Cadillacs. And, when he says he had a color TV so he could watch the Knicks playing basketball, who is not a New York Knicks fan? But
big.
Tell me what you get out of it, other than what I've said. The guy made money. He's spending cash, and just like you and I are today.
Oh, he's just a fun guy. He's got the money. He's got the toys. I mean, life's good.
There you go. Hey, listen, that'll wrap it up for this episode of Poetic Justice. Rappers Delight, Sugar Hill Gang. You gotta love them. Thanks for joining us.
The new poetry as well, So, several times they'll quote Shakespeare, Emily Dickinson, and sometimes Sugar Hill Gang. I'm pretty sure it'll be long before Snoop Dogg is part of this Poetic Justice movement.
Of course, Bruce's favorite.
Oh yeah, was that? Which one was that? Leif Garrett.
Yeah.
The great Leif Garrett.
It's a great Leif Garrett.
Well, let's go ahead and take it to the end with our motivational minute by head football coach of the junior high Cats.
Yeah, this is a classic.
Another classic. We got to get these guys working again.
Yeah, telling you,
getting a little frustrating. These guys aren't coming and pulling their load.
And this is more of a classic instead of a motivational minute, more like a motivational 15 seconds.
Yeah.
This is Coach Donny Burnett. And here's today's Motivational Minute. Winners are not people who never fail, but people who never quit. Keep fighting. This is Coach Donny Burnett for today's Motivational Minute.
Deep.
That was deep.
Deep, right?
Wow.
Donnie's got a book full of them.
Man.
He is full of something.
Yes, he is.
Yep.
He's really full of something.
Motivation, that's what he's full of. Go leave it at that. Well, Scott, man, thanks again for coming on. You have been you've made episode 21 a great episode.
Thank y'all for having me.
Very, very much honored to have the leader of the 908 here with us today. Maybe we'll have you on again soon, and we'll just go on a tangent about the Denver airport once you have a chance to check it out next time you're there.
I'll have to check it out next time. Yeah, I just walked towards my coffee shop there in the Terminal C, and
You're just a good soldier. You keep your head down and keep
I
going.
just go walk and I get my coffee. It's Russian coffee, but it's really good.
Yeah.
That's another tangent we'll get to.
Russian coffee.
Yeah. It's delicious coffee.
I don't know if you're allowed to have Russian coffee in
I know.
America right now.
It's Denver.
Maybe you can have Turkish coffee, but not Russian coffee. You know. All right, that's going to wrap it up for episode 21 of the Preferred Experience podcast. Special thanks to our guest, Scott Graves, for joining us today. And for the Millzer, for Scott, I'm Will Barrett. As always, saying good night, God bless, and go Lions. That's my line.
All right, that's going to do it for this week. Man, Will, love you coming in, pinch hitting, and dude, you hit a grand slam tonight.
Well, expect nothing less from me, Daryl. I'm the best.